So just a warm welcome. Just for those on Zoom, if you can have your microphones muted and they're speaking and hands up for questions, please. Just for those that are not familiar, the location of the bathrooms are out to the left, and if the fire alarm is activated, we evacuate the building in an orderly manner out through the main doors and go to the rear of the Armadillo's building. And if it's an earthquake, drop, cover and hold. So some housekeeping before we get underway. And then I'll ask CEO Janine to do the opening karakia, please.
Tuia ki runga, tuia ki raro, tuia ki roto, tuia ki waho, tuia tātou te tangata, ki te kaupapa o te hui nei, ki te kaupapa o te rangi nei, mauri ora ki a tātou katoa.
Thank you, Janine. Well done. So we'll move to apologies. We have one from Mayor King. Are there any other apologies?
Apology from Councillor Shellcrest.
For lateness or attendance or?
For lateness.
Thank you. Would someone like to move that those apologies be accepted? Move Councillor Dowler. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Mauru. All those in favour will say aye. Against, the resolution is carried. We'll move to no public forum, declarations of interest. No new. So we'll move to the item today, which is voting at the Local Government New Zealand Special General Meeting to endorse the future of local government. The consensus outcome paper, Janine, you're going to speak to it on page, and it starts on page 4 of the agenda, councillors.
So as you're aware, the Future for Local Government Review was undertaken by an independent panel and concluded in June this year with recommendations to transform the local government system. LGNZ has facilitated an inclusive process for members to reach consensus, and the result is a future-focused policy paper to be used as a basis for discussions with the new government and the platform for long-term reform. At a special general meeting on the 11th of December, Councillor Mayling will attend and vote on each of the 5 sections, and you will decide today how Tasman District will apply its vote on each of those sections as fully stated. There are no recommendations from staff. This is a matter for council to decide a majority position.
Thank you, Janine. And other than that, I take the report as read. Do we have someone who's willing to move the recommendation? Councillor Bailey.
Look, I'm happy to move this as one. I don't think we can support everything, but there is a provision in the resolution to allow the Mayor to address our concerns. And my main concern is over the financial one. I think trying to collect rates on Crown land is just a money go round. And I don't see this government supporting that. But that's just one. There are a number of other things that I think will be good for local government. And when I listened to the call on Monday night, and I noted that Councillor Greening and Councillor Ellis and the CEO were both on that call, they were talking about early wins and things that they can work and about building a relationship with this government. So I think that's something we should do, and we should support Local Government New Zealand on this. We are one vote of 77 councils, and if they do it according to your ranking, we get about 4 votes, I think it is, and some of the bigger councils get a lot more. 4, 5. So to me, it's quite simply, we support this and we'll let the Mayor raise our concerns over that one particular issue, and let's see if we can get some early wins with this government to work together going forward. So that's why I'm happy to move the motion in its entirety.
Thank you, Councillor McKenzie.
Thank you very much through the chair. Well, actually, I'm happy to second the motion in its entirety. I couldn't help but think when I was reading through the information how things rapidly change in a short space of time, and that's the world that we live in a democratic system. So I think that we can vote in total, and leave it to Mayor King to tease out anything he needs to. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I tend to agree. It should be, today's discussion should be at a really high level. We really don't want to go down a rabbit hole of going into detail in every resolution. Otherwise, we're going to take forever and take us a long time to get consensus. So, Councillor Hill.
Thank you, Chair. Things need to change clearly, and I think the review panel and that process around the future was a really important process. I think it had a lot of authenticity to it, and this is sort of coming out of that. I think it's really good that councils are trying, or local government New Zealand is trying to pull something together so there's a cohesive approach in the relationship with towards the government. I think what this government might or might not do would be completely unknown at this point. But it's hard to not agree that to some extent the system's no longer fit for purpose, and as evidenced by some of the rate rises around the country. So 26%, and I suppose they've got a regional council rate coming towards them as well. I think Hamilton is it, and here we are working away trying to get ours down lower. No doubt ratepayers will think, geez, it's still bloody high, but I think it's hard for people generally to imagine actually just the restraints on us. And I think that the key point around rebalancing the country's tax rate tax take between central and local government is really, really critical. And I think there aren't other countries in the world that have such an imbalance in terms of 90%, 20%. So for me, there's just all good in here. And I think whatever gains local government New Zealand can make with the government, we really have got no idea around the steer there, I suppose, around willingness or any vision around aligning up more with central government. Hopefully something competent can happen. Certainly going to vote to support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kimmermoth, and then Councillor Greening.
Thank you, through the chair. Has anybody talked to the mayor about this, and is he accepting of this responsibility, or does he need a deputy to help him if he's away?
I believe Councillor Malin had some discussion with it. Councillor Greening.
Yes, yeah, I was at that meeting. Interesting to hear the approach and some of the comments that were made. And I think the video was to be circulated, or I haven't actually seen a link to it. I'm not too sure what the concerns that the mayor is raising, but I haven't seen any circulation of those prior to this meeting, so it's very hard to respond to what the concern precisely is. And I certainly haven't been invited before this meeting to raise any other concerns with this. So just wondering what the process is for that.
Yeah, through the chair, just a reminder that we did have a workshop on this matter, and that we went through each of the areas of recommendation, and that was the opportunity where various issues such as the one Councillor Mailing raised were canvassed. Okay,
so those issues then were going to translate into a response, because I got the impression that this is all supposed to be consensus based across councils. So I'm just unsure what's going on there, that's all.
Okay, CEO Janine.
So the best way to describe this, I think, is that so there have been these sessions run by Local Government New Zealand where they've brought the all of the various elected members, some of the chief executives together. I attended the first one. Fortunately, I had COVID for the second one, but that was a really detailed process of going through all of the recommendations at a very detailed level and looking for some consensus. I understand the second one really got to the pointy end of that and really encouraged a high level of debate to land where they have with the 5 sections that they have. So the feedback that this council provided in the workshop to the mayor is what the mayor took into those discussions and represented the council with. So what you see here is the outcome of all of those councils being involved in that process.
Okay, I wasn't aware that we actually made any decisions or directions in that workshop, but it's okay. My general observation is the whole emphasis on this is localism, which is no surprise. This is National Party policy. And it's National Party policy because councils are generally conservative, and especially for rural councils, they're heavily influenced by rural stakeholders. I suppose in terms of the tax take discussion, I mean, that in itself revolves around a tension between do you centralise or do you localise? And if you localise, you need the money, and if you centralise, you don't. And that's been an ongoing debate. I think the merits are on both sides, to be perfectly frank. It's just where the money goes. I do have an interesting observation, which is where in some of this they are seeking a 4-year term, but it's not clear from some of the bullet points around that point whether they're also seeking, when they seek that, alignment with planning. Because it makes no sense not to have LTV planning and timing and all the rest of it also aligned, consistent with a 4-year election cycle, if that's what we're looking to achieve. Otherwise, you'll end up with one council binding another council in an LTP. Now, I understand from these, and the general theme seems to be that most of it is going to be operated through further working groups, which I think is very difficult not to oppose, because all kinds of things will be sorted out in those working groups. So I'm quite happy for this to be put forward to create some dialogue, to continue the discussion with the emphasis being on working groups. But I do think there's a bit of a disconnect, at least in this document that I'm reading. Not quite clear whether the 4-year term, which they're seeking the first 12 months, will be aligned with planning processes and timelines and all the rest of it, which I thought would take a little bit longer. So I think it might be a little bit naive to expect 4-year plans. And I imagine also you've got a tension between government, which is still on a 3-year cycle. So I would expect a 4-year cycle to be aligned something along the lines of central government. And then obviously maybe council meeting, councils, local government, appearing in election cycles in between central government election cycles. So you have elections every 2 years, and that hopefully will give councils a 2-year breather to sort out a change of government, as we're currently going through at the moment, which is a perfect example of the limited time span we have to react to dramatic change. So if there can be some raising of that concern, that would be good, but I imagine that will be teethed out in any working groups that occur.
Thank you. Councillor Greening, any other speakers? If not, I'll move to put the resolution. Do you want a right of reply, Councillor Naval? So put the resolutions, are they on the screen, Elaine? Yes. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Resolution is carried. Thank you. We'll move now to the closing karakia.
Kia hora te marino, kia whakapapa pounamu te moana, aroha atu, aroha mai, tēnā tātou, tēnā tātou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Thank you. Thank you for your attendance and enthusiastic input, and Operations Committee will start in a few minutes as we reposition ourselves. So thank you.